Well, welcome to the first afternoon breakout of the Business Summit here in the Woodlands. We have a special guest here talking and discussing social media platforms and strategies for business with Jennifer Bruse from Hello Woodlands. Jennifer is the founder, co-owner, president, and CEO of Hello Woodlands, an online news and event source created in 2016 that now reaches over 1 million people online every month in the Woodlands and Houston area throughout their website, social media pages, and email newsletter. Jen, I think you said over 2 million.
Yeah, just over 2. Yeah, in October it was like 2.6 million, which is insane. And I'll go over that in a little bit.
Just amazing. So as a member of the Woodlands Chamber of Commerce, board member of the Glade Arts Foundation, administrative board member of the Woodlands Methodist Church, member of the Loft Church at the Woodlands Methodist Church, and supporter of numerous local events and nonprofit organizations, Jennifer is passionate about serving her community and leads the Hello Woodlands team in providing news and what's happening in and around the Woodlands and Montgomery County. As a social media and digital marketing expert for over 10 years, Jennifer is known for her award-winning videos, YouTube web series, successful online campaigns and brands, and working with local to worldwide organizations and individuals to launch and grow their online presence and effectively reach and engage with their target audiences. Jennifer is also a writer, journalist, photographer, videographer, graphic designer, web designer, social media manager, and marketing coach and consultant. Jennifer, we're thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to listening.
Thank you so much. And so thank you all. Thank you. So thank you all for coming today. I'm really excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, social media. It's really, it's kind of nice the last couple years, not because of the pandemic, but it's really nice to talk about social media and the fact that, we can all value social media. Before 5 years ago, people always came to me like, why do I need social media? And so now it's like, okay, we do need social media. And so starting on that frame point versus being convincing why it can help your business. But the one thing I want to say first and foremost, like it provides us a great platform for our business or our personal brands. But to be honest, social media, we can be distracted by the influencers or even media of this day, but it's not really about us. It's about, social media is about serving our community and giving them value and what they want. And Amanda did an excellent job telling about storytelling and giving a great background of why storytelling is important and why to value our audience. So because I did a lot of research on who's going to be here today, and y'all were kind enough to kind of say that you were coming on the app, I could see a lot of your backgrounds, but to be honest, I can do a lot of research. I can use a lot of tools on social media to figure out exactly who my clients are, who my audience is, but nothing substitutes for one-on-one interaction. But I must say that I failed at this as a YouTuber. I thought, I'm like, oh, I'm online. I know what to do. I know how to build, a million person campaigns. I can make viral videos. Well, that's great. And that's great for entertainment, but that doesn't pay you. And that doesn't really build your community, and that doesn't serve them. That just makes you famous. Famous doesn't pay. People don't realize that. And I'll talk about a little bit of my story. But to prove that, if no pressure, I would like to have 3 volunteers. You don't have to get up or anything like that, but I want to know what you want to learn, because I can talk about social media and a lot of for hours, and that's great and all that stuff. But we don't need to feed my ego or me to tell my life story over and over again. I want to know what you want to learn about social media, so I can make sure to talk about it the next 15 minutes. So if I could have 3 volunteers, raise your hand. Maybe 1, 2, 3. Yay! Okay. Could you share your name, your business, because we want to give you exposure, and kind of the perk of it, and then what you want to talk about in the session.
Sure. I'm Britt DeVoe with DeVoe Wellness House. I'm interested in converting eyes into customers.
That's the important part. By the way, my background is in finance, not social media marketing. So it's nice to do all the things, but learning how to turn those into dollar signs is, and still build a community that really is, effectively is kind of my whole thing. So I'm excited to share that.
Hi, I'm Summer Carter. I'm
work for WC Construction, which is the commercial general contracting firm, so I do business development for them, but I also work for a Texas country music artist. And so I'm trying to learn how to get audience engagement on polls, stories, everything that we're putting on his profile to kind of gain fans, gain followers, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Music is a fun industry to do on social media and get engagement. But so is all, I mean, if you can have kind of exciting industries, but I must say social media can be a very effective tool on all different industries. I came from the oil and gas business, trust me, like you can make it exciting and effective in all different types. I used to be an internal auditor, so that's, trust me, I got you. So, and then I think we have one more in the back that raised, yes.
Yeah, Angela Shipples on Industry 60 Science and Graphics. We actually have a company that does make 4 major platforms, and I think we do a good job, but I think like whoever the first person was, I know we get some engagement and we get a lot of likes, but I want the followers. That's
Awesome. Yeah, turning those followers into paying clients or, you know, just being engaged with your community. It's amazing how sometimes followers can be referrals to their family members or other people. And so, but it's, you know, seeing your followers not as just followers, but actually human beings, just like the human being behind the screens for sure. So, okay, well, that's exciting. That's exactly what I'm here to talk about today. So those are really great. So that's enough about me. I'm going to dive right into it because we've heard enough about me, but I will tell a lot of my experience. And then a lot of my experience, I have learned a lot from my experience. So I have failed forward. And so trust me, if an internal auditor and a YouTube chef can become a digital marketing social media expert and have a million per month, you know, user following, so can you. And so I have hope for us all. It's just good. But the great thing is you don't have to have that. But there are several platforms that are free for us to use. I know social media can be extremely overwhelming. Honestly, I don't even know all the little things on here, but one of the things that I want to say is that it never will replace your website and your email newsletter. Because even though social media is a great communicator and a great way to make your website come alive, is what I always say, prove every day how you're doing what you say you're doing. So you say what you do for a living, your business, your brand on your website. But social media is really a way to make that come alive for videos, personal interaction. And so that way people can look at your website, look at your social media profiles, look at your email newsletter. If they're going to buy, they normally are going to look at every single piece of content you have. And that's important these days. It's not just one thing. It's several different things, testimonials, a friend with it, with their business partner or whatever. So it's part of your profile, your marketing profile. It needs to be part of your portfolio. But one thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure, even if you don't use all of them, you need to make sure to sign up for a profile, at least the major ones, and make sure to lock down your company name and set it for notifications. So that way, if something happens, a security alert, that your email is notified. You do not have to use all the things. We do not use all the things. I'm a digital marketing social media company for years, worked for several agencies. No one uses all the things unless you have a really big budget. And even then, still don't do all the things because your customers are not on there. The one thing that I get asked a lot is algorithm. People spend a lot of money for gurus and chasing the trends and trying to figure out how the algorithm works. Let's simplify it. It's engagement. If you create consistent, high quality content that is dynamic and continuing to evolve with your company and your brand and your clients, and to continually provide engaging content, the engagement, those likes, those shares, those comments, all of that will boost your content. Facebook wants to share content to their users that people actually like. So if your followers are not engaging with your brand and no one else is, if you're not getting those likes, those comments, it's going to go farther, farther, farther down. It's marketing. They want people to use their app. So if you create content that is engaging, you're going to go up. And so we'll talk a little bit how to do that. But short answer, if you're a new company, social media ads are extremely effective in starting this and kickstarting. But we'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. So There's a little bit different ways to do every one of them. I'm going to talk about a few of them that are kind of the big boys, is what I talked about. And honestly, communities are very different, and age groups are different, and even industries are different on which platform they prefer. Now, I must say in the Woodlands area, Facebook and Instagram, I don't care what age you are, but if you are usually a professional in the business, Facebook, yes, it is relevant, I promise you. We get 1 million views on Facebook every single month, if it's a bad month or not. So yes, people are using Facebook, especially with events, to do photo albums, something with events. If you are having an event as a business, please put it on Facebook. It makes it really easy. They push it up in the feeds. People can like it, great communications. Instagram, I personally am a fan for all of Instagram because I'm very visual. Humans are very visual. And so it is a great way to get into the feeds. Hashtags are your BFF. We're gonna talk about the hashtags and how that looks like, how the aesthetics and the format of your posts make a difference. It's not good enough just to create content. You have to make it good aesthetically. Being an artist or having that visual creative look on it, you don't have to be an artist, but you have to make it, hey, does this look good? This is functional for my audience. But Instagram is a great way to do that. So on Hello Woodlands, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and all of my clients have them too. Also YouTube. So Twitter is great because it's text. Quite honestly, we copy and paste the exact same content on all 4 platforms, and then on YouTube. Now, we might upload the full video on YouTube, but we might do little clips on Instagram. We might do a behind the scenes live on Instagram. Live is not as effective as it used to be. It's just kind of what it is. The super secret behind the scenes thing is if you use the tools early, as an early adopter, they like that. They'll push your content up. And I'll talk a little bit about Google Plus, rest of the soul in a minute. But we'll talk about it in a minute because I have some experience with that. LinkedIn is great, not only personally for you, but also to share articles, share the same content. People are engaging. I must say we have so Hello Woodlands has 66,000 followers on social media across the board. Now we have about 1,000 on LinkedIn, but that's okay. I'm not looking at numbers. I'm looking at the people. Half of those people are CEOs and senior positions. Those are movers and shakers. Like those are my people, those are my clients, but those are also the people that have the authority to share my articles and their corporation's newsletters. I can tell when a CEO or someone that's important or high level on that industry grabs hold and sees we did an article, because we usually share it on LinkedIn, they pick it up, they put it in the newsletter. We just got 60,000 views because someone saw it on LinkedIn and then shared it. So it's very effective. You don't have to use these things every day, but whenever we do have an article that's like, hey, the professionals might do this. We do breaking news from time to time, every day. We don't share that on Instagram. Like unless it is something that we think is visually appeasing, I'm not going to share a mugshot of somebody on Instagram. To me, it's too media click. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not that kind of media source. And so I am not going to share that, but I'm going to share on Twitter because it's important. We do the different banner profile. We're professional. It's family friendly. We want to make sure we're doing that, not for the views, but it's not for that demographic specifically. I don't think it's appropriate. And so think about that. Like, is this type of content that I'm doing, which it should be dynamic. If it's an article, if it's a photo album, it's an event, it's a video, whatever it is. Think of how you can repurpose that content, but not spend a ton of time on it. The great thing is you are not an influencer. You are, but you don't get paid to produce content. You get paid whenever that person sees it and buys your product at the end, or your service, or you connect that person. So trust me, you're in a much better position. I know it can be really, the fame and the clicks and the likes can be really appealing, but what you want is a few really good clients that refer you. You want to engage them. You want to educate them. Trust me, being an influencer and it's much harder. It's not as, sometimes you're like, I didn't do this, but like trust me, it's really good to just educate and just not spend a whole lot of time. Use your advice and all that content that you're already doing on a daily basis. And we're going to talk about in a minute. TikTok. Okay. I'm gonna say this with love. I didn't say this with love one time to my clients. I'm gonna say it with love this time. So, so if you're producing content, videos, talking about your business and stuff like that, that's great. Shorten it, repurpose your content, put it on TikTok. It's great for food, for music clips, for tons of different things. It's great for short little videos. So it's all different industries are using it. It's a great educational tool. Now, if you're using it to mimic the latest trend that the influencer is doing this and like dancing around and stuff like that, and having the latest rap song or stuff like that, number one, make sure you listen to all the lyrics. Normally there's some explicit thing on there, and I love rap, we love rap, but it might not be good for your reputation if you're doing stuff like that. You dancing around to the latest rap song or the latest thing, that's not going to get you clients. It might get you a lot of views. I think it's fun to watch. However, it might not be your brand. And so don't feel pressured to follow every trend. I have made a living with Hello Woodlands by saying, I'm not going to be like them. I'm going to put my blinders on and I'm going to do what's right for this community and my community. And I hope people support me. And I talk to people one-on-one because I danced for 21 years. I don't need to be dancing around for fun just to do that. I should be reporting on amazing stories in our community instead of that hour. I could be doing it on that. To me, sometimes I've seen a lot of medical industries do this where the whole staff is dancing around, and it's like, if that's your brand, that's awesome. If people recognize you by the fun, dancing person or singing person, then rock it. But if that doesn't match your brand, what I see that honestly, what a lot of the audience sees is you have a lot of downtime. And instead of doing education and learning more and spending more time with your clients and building your customer service and providing educational content, you don't have a lot of time. You have a lot of time in your hands. And so think about what is the message that I'm saying to my fans if I do something like that. So TikTok videos can be great, YouTube videos are great, but make sure it's on your brand. So that's it, rant over. YouTube again is a great way to show videos. And then Pinterest, also if you have very visual, if it's like house, interior design, food, if you have any beautiful photos, quite honestly, if you tag them correctly, it's a great way to just use for extra traffic. And that's it. Now, again, so I used to have 100,000 followers on Google Plus for one of my brands. I worked with the Google Plus team. I did all the early adapter things. It was amazing. Like literally within a couple of weeks, 100,000 followers, solid followers at the peak of it. Do not invest all of your hope into one of these platforms because fine, I don't even have Snapchat on here for a reason. And so many things not saying that they won't work, use them, but remember, just like any other tool, it is a tool. It's not your bread and butter. And so don't put all your hope and dreams in one of these. Not saying they won't go away. I mean, now we have the metaverse and all these other great things. I'm excited. I mean, there's just more opportunities for us to sell and to educate and find our customers. So be an early adopter if you have time for that, but don't put all your hopes and dreams and your money. You can spend a lot of money on advertising on one of these and build it up. But if it's gone tomorrow, what's your plan B? And so that's kind of the best advice I can do. Now, aesthetics. So we can create all the content and stuff like that, but I just wanted to analyze a couple of pieces of content that I think there's a lot of people think sometimes that I just play on Facebook all day long. That is not the case. And there's a lot of strategy that if we produce content, if we're taking photos, if we're taking videos, if we're spending all this time working with clients, I get paid to promote things for a living, I better make it look good. And it has to reach a lot of people with a purpose. And so now you can see, so I'm gonna look at this one first. On the left for everyone that's watching online. So I love this photo, and this is why. There is a loving family that's happy. It's very colorful. You might have a colorful staff photo or a colorful product. Color, humans attract eyeballs, period. Nothing else. This is the highest type of content, period. See the logo? I love the logo, the branding, so that way, no matter what, your content, if you have a little watermark or something that says this is us, you don't want to make sure that anyone else gets credit for that, but it's very tastefully done. Of course, I have the sponsor. Now, the wording, people don't pay a lot of attention. The placement and the formatting of the wording and how it looks. There is a link. above the photo. You need to make sure to have like 1 or 2 sentences and then put a link. That is a third-party tracking link. This is how I'm a very techie geek, but it's Bitly. It's one of the tracking devices. I can tell how many clicks I got per day and the location. It's a free service. I still use it and pay nothing. This is fantastic. And then of course I tag the people that are involved. If someone is in the post, tag them. I don't care if they pay you or not. If you're working with them, tag them. They're going to get notified. They might share it. I tag everyone that is involved with that. Every single company that you work with, cross-branding or anything like that, even if you're thanking somebody, this is a great way to notify them, to notify their followers, and they might share it so that way you can get double the amount of views. Easy, free. And then, of course, you can see more. A lot of people, if they want to learn about it, they can see more. But it's just not just one link. There's a learn more button. That is a paid boost. So I boosted post. And so I actually clicked on, I want the button to learn more. I'm going to the same website on top. And so you have that functionality. It's very easy. $5. It took me 5 minutes. Facebook wants you to spend money with them. They're going to make it super easy. The fact, if we had Facebook ads 10 years ago, oh my gosh, the ability that I can target people in the Woodlands area with a radius of 10 miles, that people have children that are 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 5 to 6, 8 to 10, literally these are categories, that are men and women in this particular age ranges that like to go to Halloween and festivals. I literally can do that and spend $5 and reach thousands of people. That is amazing. And so you can do that on Facebook alone. But again, like how you can easily click, like I just want them to learn more. I want them to attend. That's why we get people to events. So it's not just posting. It's not about throwing content on there. It's about strategy. Same thing with here on the YMCA Run for the Woods. You can see that we tagged the Sophie Woods Mitchell Pavilion. We tagged them. We also tagged YMCA Greater Houston, YMCA the Woodlands. It's a big thing. I did hashtags. Hashtags are good on Facebook. You want to do it like I use like the Woodlands a lot. I use the event title quite a bit. I say with Twitter and Facebook, you sprinkle. You don't want to over spam. Instagram, you make it right. That's what we say. Like you just, I don't want to talk about it. But you want to do it because it's one more way to be found. It's like keywords in Google. Like if you do your website, it's just like doing all the keywords, all the things. You want to be SEO, you want to pop out there. Same thing with Facebook. You want to add all the things, and so that way there's a chance of you being more discoverable. It's a little more important than Twitter and Instagram. But that's one more thing. But you'll see that kind of stuff. And then the photo album. Even if you share a bunch of photos from an event, say you gathered the group together, or if you're highlighting certain products and you have several different photos, create a photo album. I specifically chose these 4 photos and bumped them up to the top because why? They're the most eye-catching photos. And that way I can increase my views. So it's not about just posting something. I want to make sure you see my content. It is highly discoverable and then that you engage quickly. So it's not just about having all the tags, making sure you're going to my website, but also I did this post not only because we credited the photographer. And so if you are using someone else's content, you 100% have to get their permission. If you're taking photos, especially of children or families or anything, you absolutely have to have image and video releases for your employees, for the people you're working with, and be very considerate if you are taking pictures of children. A lot of times we will go to events and literally take feedback of children so we do not expose their identities. I really, I didn't talk about this earlier in private, but like I really have a problem with all of the things that go on with the internet. We work with the Sheriff's Department and the Constable's Department. I really suggest providing privacy for those children. And if it is for a campaign, or if it's just a fun outdoor event, stuff like that, you absolutely have to get permission. As a business, remember you are much different than an individual. They can go after you. You do not have permission to share photos, videos, or music. You have to have explicit permission, especially even if it's a live event and there's a music in the background. Facebook will throw down. Like they will either ask you to delete the video, or they will ask you, I mean, it's, you know, somebody will tell you that you violated the rights and stuff like that, or you can mute it. And so it's a different ballgame. It's a liability, but it's just considerate. And so if you do get permission, we took this photo, Rod took it for that. And so we gave credit to ourselves. But it's very important. It's even if a customer or someone gives you a photo to share, get their permission in writing, verbal agreement. I know I can't say that in the state of Texas and blah, 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 get in writing. It's just, it protects yourself and stuff like that. And that way, the great thing about these image release forms and these video release forms is that you can have, if you ever need one, I have one. You can ask, like, can I share it in social media? Can we share it in marketing materials? Okay, so we repurpose the content, like hire a photographer, hire a videographer, one day a month, repurpose it, you can use it for a lifetime. So we have a lot of marketing content, so you can repurpose. A lot of times people take pictures of events or of a product release or whatever like that, and we'll use it for years to come to pre-promote the release in the future. So it's a great tactic. It also saves a lot of money and a lot of headaches in the future. So, and then here's Instagram. We did the same thing. I love the stories feature. It's one more way to, you can share the posts you've already done. You can create little stories and stuff like that. If you have any questions on it, Facebook, Instagram, they have great tutorials that are free that will share you exactly. Don't go to the latest guru that's never done this for a living. Trust me, Facebook and Instagram want you to use their platforms very effectively. Socialmediaexaminer.com is an excellent resource in the industry that will give you great articles on every single thing that you want to know on social media. Every little detail, so definitely look them up. But stories are a great way to get above the feeds and keep up to date, especially if you post quite a bit. It's a great way to kind of see top of mind and stuff like that. But again, I say make it rain, hashtags, but 10 maximum. The one thing I would recommend that I'm going to touch on is that I always do a space, which is done outside of Instagram. Usually, like, you have a document and you post it in there to keep that space. I know you can't click on the links on Instagram. You still include it, so that way people know. You put it in their profile and stuff like that. There's several ways to do that. Linktree is a special service. It's free that you can actually have links in that. So look at that Linktree. It's great. There's so many free tools for you to use. You don't have to pay a ton of money. But I do a lot of hashtags at the bottom of the post. Some people put on the first comment. Realize if you don't have any comments, they're going to see the tags. So I like to put it at the very bottom of it because your users are going to see a whole lot of spammy Instagram hashtags if you do that. And so if you're going to post content, I would do it that way. We still do live Instagram stuff. And so it's kind of a great way to do behind the scenes over at. Even if your team is up to doing a live Instagram, I don't know, it might be, if you're familiar with it and stuff like that, you can do it. But it's great functionality that you can actually repurpose and share all of that live content. It's not just, it doesn't just go away. And so that's kind of nice and stuff like that. All right, so social media for business. I'm going to go through kind of my top things and then I'm going to go talk into it. So I used to do a speech on, 10 buzzworthy things to build a business. And so this is kind of inspired by that. So number one, you want to show and tell the story. In the news of your company. You are a journalist for your company. Don't overthink creating content. You are there to document what already exists. And so you're not trying to create this epic dancing campaign. You're not trying to, recreate the wheel. Get your experts to talk about what they're already talking about with their clients. How are you going to do a demo of your latest product that you already have content copy for? How do you make that? How do you take a picture of it? How you repurpose that, use the same material copy for your post. So you're just using that and making that come alive. But you are a journalist, document. I think half of the battle with creating content for business, any business, is just to remember to take pictures or remembering to use all of this content that's already done. You have processes, you have interviews, you have so many documents that you can repurpose for marketing material. It's just going to those experts and asking them, hey, what are the top 5 questions that you received this week that I can actually share and answer on social media? Is that communication process? How can we highlight what we're already doing in business? Because that's the point. I mean, you want to give some teasers and some free knowledge online, so they come back to you for the rest of it. Or if you're selling a product, but they don't know anything. How do they come to you? You want to be an industry expert. And that's why showing and telling the story of your business is really great. Creating brand standards and consistency, just like your logos, your colors, all of the things that you do for your business, how can you make that shine on your social media platforms? If I look at your social media page, how do I look at it and say like, oh, that's that business? Like, how do I recognize the style, the color? It might be just the branding logo. Do I know it's from you, or is it just some random person? Is the profile picture your logo, or is it just a bunch of people that I can't really recognize? So every single time I see your post, I see your logo. And that way, again, that's what marketing is. You see branding, branding, branding. So whenever they do need you down the line, no matter if they follow you now, it might be a year, it might be 10 years, who knows? Like it might be tomorrow, but they recognize that brand, and then they'll have that brand in the back of their head, and they'll identify that every little piece of logo. So if you don't associate that back to your brand, then who will they associate that content with? And so that's something I think in mind with every piece of content you create. Don't overthink it, but just think of, overall picture. Create a marketing strategy and goals, realistic goals. So is it to increase profits for this one particular product or service? Are you serving your community in this way? Like, what do you want your company to be known for? This goal should not be about, I want more likes on Facebook. That is great. I think it's something part of the family. It's always to have, you always want to increase your traffic, but that should not be the goal. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But reputation management, setting policies, standards, and boundaries of what content you are going to do, and what happens when an employee quits and they go rogue and start commenting on your Facebook post. What do you do? My number one tip is there's a little section on Facebook that you can actually put words into block automatically. So if there's a derogatory term that they use for your business, like I used to work for a chiropractor office for social media, all the names that you call a chiropractic, medical offices and stuff like that, and doctors, we put it in there. So if someone got feisty, we did that. If it was someone's name of a past employee, we put it in there. And so that way it's one preventative measure, but it's just to be kind of prepared. When COVID hit, how do we cover that? How do I address that? If I have someone angry about it. We covered news on COVID. We covered news on incorporation. How are we going to cover that? I don't have to cover it like other people do. And we didn't cover it like other people did. But we went back to our policies, and that's how we decide. Every article that we put out, it goes against, we have to kind of mirror it against what is our policy? What is our standard? What is our brand? Who do we represent? It's not just for the views, it's for the people. Is it good for them? Is it bad for them? Is it going with our brand? It's not about just the content. It's not about just the views. And so but I must say, you have a lot less headaches if you've actually planned that out. Just like your processes for your business, plan out your processes and your worst case scenarios, not when it happens, when you get hacked, when you get that. Not to freak anybody out, but it's easy to there are a lot of ways to manage that. And thankfully, there's a lot of teams that are there to help you. But it's a little bit less stressful if you have that on your side. Building relationships on and offline. Like I said before, nothing takes the place of one-on-one interaction. Every year, we actually poll our audience. What do you want us to produce? What content do you want to see from us? You might want to ask your managers, ask your staff, get them involved. Like, what would you guys like us to see on social media? Getting your employees and your teams involved in the creation process is amazing. And honestly, it actually, you get a lot of great ideas. You get a lot of participation that way. That's how you get engagement up. Number one, I've done a class on engagement for a local med spa. One class on engagement, just getting them involved, getting them to like and comment on every post. Their engagement is off the roof. Their likes and their views are off the roof just because their people are now engaged in their content and they're coming up with ideas. It makes my life a lot easier too. But I mean, and it's a med spa. We're talking about highly specialized medical equipment. We're doing bios and just talking about themselves and highlighting, how they're an expert in their thing and their industry. Like, we're highlighting them and their expertise and doing testimonials. But we're getting them involved and seeing and talking with their clients on what they want to see. And so it's amazing. We get the best ideas, and I see this with all successful businesses. The best ideas actually comes from your clients, your customers. I used to sit in the middle of the chiropractic office and just listen to what questions were being asked, to listen to the dialogue. It was great. No one knew what I was doing. I was just taking notes. I'm like, what are people asking about? What are they concerned with? What is the front desk saying? What are they saying? You will get like 20 different ideas if you just be silent and listen to what already is happening in the workplace. And so we make it so hard. It's so intimidating somebody creating content. It's not. You're just documenting and just sharing what already is happening. You share the light in your business and you want to just shine it outside to the world to just let them know what you do and you exist in your own unique way. Social media advertising. Facebook and Instagram ads are like, they are so cheap and they are so effective, even it just gets no awareness. $5, $10. What you do is you start with 6 different ads behind the scenes. After a couple days, you cut half of them that are low performing. The next day you cut them. And so that when you have 1 or 2 high performing ads, and then you throw the money on it if you want to. That's the easiest advertising strategy possible, and you don't spend as much money and you get the highest cost per click, period. If you do anything for advertising, Facebook and Instagram ads are great, especially in this community, because I think people like these platforms. Give back and community involvement. Getting involved with the community and the nonprofit world, finding your passion in something you truly care about, and getting involved, getting your business involved with that, and shine what they are doing. It's not about taking the next check, be like, hey, guess how much money we gave them. It's not about that. I will no longer post articles on that if you haven't noticed, because it is so much about sometimes the business that they lose sight in the nonprofit. If you get involved in the nonprofit or any passion you have, a church or whatever that makes sense for your industry as a business, not only are you highlighting awareness and giving them awareness and free exposure on their part, you're developing relationships in person. And honestly, that's what we're supposed to do anyway, is to give back. And if it's a tax write-off, I'm like, it's a win-win for everybody. And so, I mean, I really encourage you to find, it's not about doing all the things, because we have a lot of amazing nonprofits. I try to do all that, they're overwhelming. Choose one, choose 2. But it's an amazing way to share. That's great free content right there. And they would love you for that. They need it so bad right now. I can't even tell you. So definitely partner with some great nonprofits, which I'm proud. So it's a great way to work with people that are right in that community. I use Sprout Social to run reports. It's a great way. I'm asked this a lot. How do I look and see what we've done? Google Analytics, Sprout Social is a great thing to use. There's a lot of great things, but really to evaluate on a short-term, long-term basis of how you're, and look and see which ones are the top performing ones, which one you should keep, which you not keep, even some of the low performing posts as well. That doesn't mean you kick them out. Sometimes one of the most impactful things that we do, I'm like, even if we covered a nonprofit event that might have not gotten a lot of views, I don't care. We're supposed to be doing that. We're going to keep on continuing to do that. I don't really care. If that's what we're supposed to give the community, that's how we're going to give back. It might be really entertaining and do this really amazing festival with all this food and wine and all the things like that, but we need to make sure we stick to basics and do the right things, even though they're not as exciting. So keep that in mind. Reports can be misleading if you don't really evaluate what's important to your brand. And plus, I might get one client that spends, one of our biggest clients sometimes is not with those thousands of hits. It's maybe that one relationship, that one time that we really gave back and just were truly ourselves. And so you can't always trust reports. That's what I get, but they are helpful to see you kind of on a bigger level. Of course, learning from experiences, I definitely am the biggest test case for that. I've definitely made a lot of bad choices and learned from a lot of experiences. And thankfully with Hello Woodlands, we've got that. Hello Woodlands was the birth from every experience that I had, and I did it right. I was on the right foot. So the reason why I give a lot of advice on what not to do, because I've done it before and I've learned, and I want to make sure that you get that advice and you don't have to go through that. Sometimes even these learning experiences are expensive. And so I hope that you kind of take that for a grain of salt. Always, and as we know, especially the last few years, don't be afraid to change and adapt and evolve and try something new. My thing that I tell myself to remind myself is don't be afraid to try something twice, even if you have a bad experience, or if you might have a stigma about whatever platform or whatever type of content. Wait a while, cool down, try again. And so it might be worth a second shot or a third chart. They might have a different functionality that it might actually work for you now. And so I heard a lot of this, and they're like, oh, well, that doesn't work for my industry. I'm like, really? You might want to try it again, because I've seen it work in all different industries. So it's just how you do it. You might just need to tweak your campaign. And so meeting with different people in your industry, that might be a great source of information as well. So some ideas for content creation that I've gone through, but I'm going to go through it, stuff like that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to know, what am I supposed to create? So these are some really great tried and true things to do for your company. Document and share inspirational stories about your business. I mean, I talked about this storytelling. Storytelling within your business are great from your people, from your clients, whatever that means. Stories. Capture those stories, and remember, it's writing, video, photo, whatever your budget is, you can make it happen. And so those are really great. Great for time management. Choose one day a month. This is what we do with one of our clients. And do a photo shoot, do a video shoot. It might be a professional shot, it might be a group shot, it might be somewhere that you're actually doing a group event together. Make the investment to have a photographer if you have the budget, but if you don't, phones are great too. They've evolved quite a bit. But I must say, hire a photographer, videographer. Just don't ask Rod, because you might vent for 30 minutes on it, but he's a great photographer, videographer, and so am I, but it is so expensive to try to do it yourself. Thankfully, after 10 years, we can really look back at the budget and be like, oh, okay, maybe it was worth it, but it's so much affordable to just hire a photographer. There would be a great local photographers in the area that would love to take pictures of you and your business, to have classy, professional looking photos that have great lighting, great angles, everyone smiles at the same time. It's amazing what a professional photo will do, and you can repurpose it for marketing. And so think of how you can just, instead of just creating a piece of content every day, think of how you can create content all in one day. And so time management is important. Make sure that your content is making you an expert in your industry. It's supposed to be educating. You can feature stats, you can highlight bios, you can answer FAQs, you can share free advice, little bits. I'm not talking about you to give away the whole farm. I'm just saying, like, give some advice that makes, hey, these people know they're doing it for a living. Maybe I should talk with them. And so our way of doing it is showing, like, hey, I can get a lot of views. I can help this company build their brand. I do it indirectly. But for you, you can very directly say, hey, this is what our clients ask us all the time. Let me just talk about this for like 5 minutes. Short video clip, upload it on the Instagram behind the scenes, on Facebook, whatever you feel comfortable doing. It's amazing how just 5 minutes of your time can make so much of a difference. Don't be afraid to share advice and educate your audience. Then I kind of dive into the next one. Testimonials. Someone else talking about how amazing you are is a much better selling point than you talking about how amazing you are. So testimonials for a client, I know sometimes it's like pulling teeth. Just continue to ask. I promise you someone will ask that will give you a testimonial. If you can do it in writing, awesome. Photo with it, perfect. Video, gold. Like if you can get someone on video to do that, that's amazing. If you can give them, sometimes it's honestly like you just have a wonderful client that you work with. Sometimes you give them a free service because of their time. Think about that. And so a lot of times we have done that. Hey, I've had clients that own hair studios, and it's a little bit easier to do. It's like, hey, we're going to give you free this if you give us they already love the company, but it was just kind of a little thank you. So think of how you can give a little thank you for them just telling about you. It's a great way to do that. I have an 80-20 rule, which is kind of a standard. 80% of the content that is that we share on our social media posts are ours. It's our content that we produced. 20% we share from other pages. Number one, it shows that it's not all about me. There's some other sources that have great information, but also it's cross-promoting, and it's a great networking. It's online networking. That's what it is. And so it's great for your audience to see that. But then it's also great for them to see it, because most of the time they'll look for ways to share your content back to their pages. So some of the pages that we connect with and work with, they have tons of followers. So all of them just we do this a lot with the sheriff's department. A lot of the other kind of credible news sources and stuff like that. I have no shame with working with other news sources. I don't have a problem with that. Sometimes we share influencers as well. I love it, and they really appreciate it. And we're nice. We actually have friendships with other news sources because of this, because we, you know, it's kind of rare and so like that. And it's a very competitive industry. But you know, it's just look behind the you know, look at ways how you can share other people's content. That makes sense. You're right. So just always on point. And then of course, making your life a lot easier. We schedule a lot of our content through Sprout Social. It might be Hootsuite, it might be later, it might be a lot of different things. We do spend money and stuff like that on Sprout Social, but the time it saves is amazing, and we have beautiful reports that also we capture and we share with our clients. So it is really nice to be able to share that. Really classy, you know, executive level looking reports that make us look good, thankfully, that are really credible. Strategy tips. So remember that your content, it can be overwhelming. You might have big goals, big dreams. I always say it's about the snowball versus the avalanche. I have a lot of clients that have come to us and be like, I want a viral video. I'm like, okay, here we go. Do you really want a viral video? Like, it's number one, what type of content are you sharing? Usually the viralness is not something you want to be known for. So keep that in mind. Can you even handle the amount of customers that will come at you after this viral content? So honestly, a lot of startups come to us and like, okay, we want to advertise with Paula Woodlands, and they do all the biggest campaign. I'm like, okay, are you ready? But I'm like, are you ready for this? Like, if we do this campaign, can you have thousands of hits on your website right now? Can you handle like the exposure? Like, okay, maybe not for the soft launch. Maybe we'll wait for a couple months. That's probably a good idea. That's probably good. So I will actually undersell sometimes in the client because I'm like, we want to make sure you baby step. I want you to have the best customer service possible. It is better to have consistent quality content than have one video and then nothing, or have bad customer service. Remember, people remember you for your customer service and the way that you made them feel in person. Social media is only a way to advertise and reach new people, and also to connect with your existing clients and remind them that you exist. That is a great thing. And then of course you want to educate and become an industry leader, but honestly, you want to make sure that you are connecting with your clients and just keeping top of mind and not over extending it. So honestly, you want to have a build up. So if we just went from 0 to 60,000 followers for Woodlands, I don't know if I would be ready to tackle that kind of news source. Like this is my first time doing a news source. I don't know if y'all knew that, but like that's, you know, this is not a long-term career. I'm a digital marketing specialist that over time learned how to effectively produce content and was able to strategize and re-strategize with that type of audience, with great audiences sometimes comes great responsibility. So I'm very thankful that we happened to kind of do it one article at a time, even though some were very viral. So it's one of those things. Set realistic goals. Remember that sometimes producing content for 6 months or a year it might take that long. Some people want overnight success. That's not how good campaigns are built. So keep that in mind. Like we said, use third-party tracking software like Bitly links. It's great tools to use. What I do is I set automatic responses on my Facebook and Instagram profiles because I do not have time to respond to every single message. I wish I did. It might be off hours. If that's your job to respond to social media profiles and all your customer interactions, set up for those responses. Those are really good things. And again, engagement is much more important than follow count. So there's a lot of great things, and we talked about the rest of things. But yeah, just looking, it's always about focusing on engaging your audience, providing value, and really effectively producing content that really represents your business. But yeah, it's just have fun with it. Make sure you do it as a team. It's amazing how you can document and become the journalist and really inspire those stories and share that with the world. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you don't have any questions at all, feel free to ask and I'll be around.
Any questions? Great. Thank you so much.